Bitcoin yet again has officially broken another all-time high today. And you know what that means. The alt season clock just started ticking and it's moving fast. If you've been sitting on the sidelines waiting for a signal, this is it. Because when Bitcoin rips, altcoins usually explode, but only in this season, I believe, the right ones. And today, we're gonna help you find them. I've got two of the sharpest minds in crypto joining me, Ran from Crypto Banter and Pete from the House of Crypto. And we're doing something today a little bit different than usual. We're gonna look at what is the 5 hottest narratives in the market right now. And for each one, each guest will give you 1 or 2 calls in each category. We're considering it a safe or a more blue chip category and one more high risk, high reward. Plus, I'm gonna throw in my own plays as well. Think of this as your early access blueprint. The market's awake, momentum's building, and if you wanna ride the next leg up, your portfolio needs to be well positioned. So guys, if you're excited, smash that like, get your notepads ready, because this is gonna be one of the most valuable shows we've done all year. Without further ado, let's get into it and bring on Ran and Pete. Ran, Pete, welcome to the show. Guys, good to have you here. Last time we did this, Ran, we were on your show, and it's been a while since we've done it. And so I felt it was important that we do this again. So I'm curious today to see what are your picks for these categories we've done. And feel free to add another one in here. We didn't give a lot of space, and I know that we all look at quite a bit of different altcoins. So there's only really one section for what I'm calling like a blue chip or a safer pick. And then we have a higher risk reward category as well. And then so if you guys have one more in the category or something, feel free. And just looking for a brief description of why you picked this one and maybe its upside potential. But anyway, let's get started. How you guys doing today?
No,
great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Bitcoin all-time high day. So Bitcoin all-time high day, Bitcoin golden cross day.
But happy all-time high, everybody. It does feel really good to wake up and see that we didn't have a big correction yet. I mean, do you guys, I was really surprised actually. Normally we have this huge resistance at all-time highs and we kind of just smashed through it. And then I watched throughout the rest of the day yesterday, it trying to come back down, a bunch of people shorting, getting wrecked. And I don't know, is it too early to say that the old all-time high has now become resistance, or what do you guys think?
No, I mean, so I think you need to look at a couple of factors. I don't know if I can share my screen. I don't know if it'll let me. Let me see if I can share my screen. So let me show you just a couple of things that you could consider here, right? So there we go. If you can just bring my screen on, there we go. So if you look at the Bitcoin chart, basically there's no doubt now that you're an all-time high, whether you count the wick as the top or whether you count the body of the candle, you're definitely in all-time high mode here, right? Yeah. There is, if you look at the golden cross, so if you just quickly just draw the golden cross here, so that's the golden cross. Hold on, let me just try. Okay, there's the golden cross. You can see that we've just had the golden cross. If you look at other instances where we've had the golden cross, for people who don't know, the golden cross is when the 50 moving average crosses the 200 moving average on the way up. So if you look at this golden cross over here, you can see it over there. You had a pump into the golden cross, and then you had a correction, a 10% correction after the golden cross. And if you go back in history, it's pretty much the same pattern all the time. You have a pump, you have a correction. Here again, you had the pump, you have a correction straight afterwards. So generally, the golden cross does pump. You pump into the golden cross, and you have some kind of correction. The other thing is, if you look at, let me see if I can get us a better trend line. But if you look at, let me see if I can get us a much better view of this. If you draw a line from the 2017 high, let me see if I can go all the way back. So if you take a line all the way from the 2017 high and you go through a 2021 high, you kind of realize that there's zero resistance in this chart until about, there's no resistance from a technical point of view. But if you're really looking for somewhere where this trend could stop for a little breather, it would probably be around somewhere around the 115, because that's the candle from the trend from 2017. So around 115, 116, 114, you could get a slight rejection. But otherwise, I think we're in all-time high territory, and we've been accumulating for quite a while. It's probably something else that you could look at if you care about technicals. And again, I'm not like the biggest technical guy in the whole world, but let me just remove all this crap from the chart. And what you can see is that you had a massive accumulation here. Let me just remove that and remove that so we can all see. And you can see that there was a massive accumulation here, and that accumulation took us up from 65 back to up to 108. Now you probably had a massive accumulation here as well. And so this accumulation basically needs to play out above the accumulation zone. So I don't know, for me, my thesis is up, and my thesis is short-term up. And so for me, definitely like right now positioning myself in very bullish mode. Now, can we have a 10% correction? Yeah, we might, because we do have one after every golden cross, but so what? I'm not positioning myself for the next 2 weeks.
And Pete, what do you think about altcoin season? This is the topic of the show today. And I've been interviewing a lot of people, a lot of smart people, a lot of not so smart people. Curious to hear what your thoughts are on altcoin season.
I mean, I think what's most interesting right now is we've just gone through all-time high, and the fear and greed index sits at like 71, 72. It's kind of this weird feeling right now. You go to Twitter, and obviously we're in the game every day. We're looking at the charts. We know where everything is. But I don't think that ordinary people have even woken up to the fact that Bitcoin is back above all-time highs, and no one's really flooding back into the markets yet. Now, I have a theory that the first coins that are going to rally that causes the altcoin season, because I think there's a bit of a game that goes on behind the scenes, and smart money institutions, whoever it might be, market makers, exchanges, pump money into certain coins that everybody knows. I'm talking the XRPs, Cardanos, HBARs. And we saw this last time. We saw Bitcoin go on the 4th, 5th of November, rallied really strongly. And then all of a sudden, like HBAR, Cardano goes up like 68% in a single day, which is just crazy. Okay, but there's not enough retail flooding back in to put that much money into the markets that you see XRP doubling in value, Cardano, whatever else it is. And I think that this will trigger the altcoin season, but I think there's kind of like a game plan. They're just waiting for the enough liquidity to enter into the space. I've been following along like the M2 money supply. I've become a firm believer in Raoul Pal and what he's kind of been talking about with that. And it's just been playing out with like an 84-day delay perfectly. It looks like Bitcoin's just going to continue to move on up somewhere until around May. I think we'll have a bit of a pullback for a while, maybe. And then up into July, we have a pretty strong, end of May. So about another week or so, I don't think we're going to see much in terms of any pullbacks. And then I think we're going to continue higher. And at some point, once that kind of the time is ready, whoever's going to press the button, suddenly liquidity pumps back into these big coins. Suddenly everyone's back in the game. Everyone's like, oh, my XRP bags are up. I'm back. This is really an altcoin season. Because I made a video today and I still get people saying, oh, yeah, but altcoins aren't going anywhere. Like Bitcoin might be up, but there's no altcoin season. This time's different. We know that this time's not really different, right?
Yeah.
well, hold on. I think it could be a little bit different. And I'll tell you why it could be a little bit different. The previous cycles have been crypto investors and crypto funds investing in Bitcoin and then moving those profits from Bitcoin down to the altcoins because they can. This cycle, the Bitcoin buying hasn't been done by retail and funds. The Bitcoin buying has been done by Michael Saylor, by the one in Japan. What's the one in Japan? Metaplanet, by 21, by the ETF holders, and they're never going to rotate. They're never going to rotate into ETH or Solana or whatever else. And so my thesis here is, just because we've had a massive Bitcoin run doesn't mean we're going to have a massive altcoin run. We will get altcoins running for sure, because there'll always be some kind of cascade down from Bitcoin holders into altcoins. But I don't think that we're going to get an aggressive alt season like the ones we've had previously, when the rules of the game were different, when the participants in the market could flow freely between Bitcoin and the altcoins. They can't flow freely. Their mandates don't allow for them to flow freely. And if you look at the net buying that Michael Saylor has done, so like I saw a crazy stat around, like he was like the biggest net buyer of Bitcoin on the whole market last year. And you kind of think that those profits are never going to, he's never going to rotate into altcoins. 21 shares is never going to rotate into altcoins. The ETF buys are never going to rotate into altcoins. And so the cascade is not going to be as big as it was last time, because it's literally just the cohort of people that are still in Bitcoin, that are crypto native traders, and then they can move down the altcoin cycle. So yes, everything will go up, but are we going to get a period where altcoins outperform Bitcoin by 8x or by 9x? I don't think we're going to get that kind of alt season again.
I think that, so one thing is I know that I was going to ask you, then you already answered, which is perfect. But I was going to ask you guys if you think that we are following the same kind of chart that we always see, where Bitcoin to ETH to high caps, mid caps, low caps, micro caps. Now, one thing, Ran, is in the previous cycles, I don't know if it was necessarily retail that was profiting on Bitcoin and rotating into smaller altcoins or altcoin season.
It was people like us. It was people like us. Bitcoin retail / funds.
Yeah,
it was us.
Bitcoin continued though to pump, and so it still went up. So I don't know if people were necessarily selling. It takes much more capital to increase Bitcoin than other coins. But what I do think is that it's definitely retail. It's definitely not the guys who are buying Bitcoin. And so the question is, are they going to be back? And I think the biggest problem that we have from a traditional altcoin season right now is people who have been exposed to the space and there's too much discussion around really shitty coins like meme coins. And now we've made technology where people can launch these things and grab attention at a pace never seen before possible. And promises of getting rich quick are being spread around crypto Twitter like wildfire. And it's distracting. Before, in previous seasons, ICO season, then IDO season, 2017, 2021, people, like you said, people were investors. Even retail had an investor mindset. And now we're going into the world of idiocracy and retardation, where people are just chasing, things that have zero intrinsic value. And you even see something like this internet capital markets meta come along, where they're saying like there's all we're doing is tying an idea to a token that has no intrinsic value. So anyway, like, I'm concerned, but I believe though the one saving grace we may have is because of the regulatory environment, because of the legitimacy being put in front by Congress and regulators. Potentially we have more capital by orders of magnitude coming into the space than ever before. And we might see, at least in the higher cap altcoins, some institutional money coming into those as well. I don't know why people would do it instead of Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is so strong. But any more thoughts on that before we dive in?
I think there's three cohorts that we've got to look at. We've got the Bitcoin investor, right? And that's the Bitcoin investor. Let's just generically call that the Bitcoin investor. Then you've got a second investor, which is looking to invest in fundamentals of Web3 building blocks, which is Solana, Ethereum, Hyperliquid, that kind of thing. And I think that's the thesis that I've taken. And then you've got the third kind of investor, which is here to play the casino. And they're going to go for meme coins, AI agents, internet capital markets. They kind of know they're buying nothing. They feel better because they can justify that they're investing versus actually going to the casino or playing on Betway or whatever it is. And that's pretty much what the market is.
Okay, guys. So the first category is layer ones. Pete, we'll start with you. So I'm just going to unveil these one by one here. You could tell us why Sweet is your number one pick for L1s.
Okay. Well, throughout this kind of bull market, it's been fairly obvious for me to kind of make the transition. Originally, I was quite big in Solana, and I kind of rode Solana up. I got in around $8 at the start of 23, which is obviously a good entry, and then kind of made the transition. I think it was around the time Singapore token 2049 last summer. I went to a big Sui event in Singapore. So not only is Sui the fastest layer one blockchain out there right now, from the Miston Labs team, who are originally behind the Libra project at Meta, built on the Move programming language. There's obviously lots of benefits around that. Super simple, or not simple necessarily, but super useful programming language to build on that's attracted a lot of really top quality projects. And what I noticed when I was in Singapore last year was just the sort of standard of the teams and standard of the individuals that I was talking to compared with a lot of other people, other projects around the crypto space. Obviously, there's talented people everywhere, but there was such a concentration of talent being built on Sui. I'm talking like the Navi protocols. I say Cetus, but I mean, Cetus had a bit of a blunder this afternoon. So I'll leave that one off. But a Walrus team I spoke to recently in Dubai, just some incredible things. And sort of building projects such as Walrus, moving away from IPFS, moving away from traditional web hosting, sort of Amazon's, Google's, etc. Sui is becoming the Web3 all-in-one ecosystem to replace kind of Web 2, but at making it as usable and easy as being in the Web 2 ecosystem. So in general, it's no shock that Sui is performing quite how it's performing right now. The value that it's accruing on chain, the total value locked now puts it in top 5. I believe it's up in the multi-billions of dollars as we speak. There's a lot of great stuff going on over there.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. Ran, yours is Soul and Sweet. So if anything else you want to add for Sweet, but yeah, go ahead.
I mean, let me just give you, I think important before we get into the picks, let's just talk about an investment overall thesis, because I think that's like talking about the picks without the context of the thesis is a little bit mundane. So effectively, I've changed my investment style to say, look, I understand that I've really gone down to bare basics, and the bare basics for me say we are in this industry for one of two reasons. One is Bitcoin, and that's a store of value, and therefore you got to be in the store of value. And the second reason we're in this industry is because this industry allows people to create digital value. And by nature, when people create digital value, there are three applications to the digital value. The first thing is the creation of the value, which is on a base chain. The second thing is the trading on the value, which is on DEXs, perpetuals, DEXs, and centralized exchanges. And the third thing is the actual value which is created. Now, the truth is, I don't really want to be in the actual value that's created because the probabilities of success are probably 1 in 1,000. I want to be in the two parts before that. So 95% of my portfolio must be in the creation of the value and the trading of the value, because regardless of what value is created, whether it's AI, whether it's meme coins, whether it's internet capital markets, the value is going to be created on a chain, and the value is going to be traded on DEXs, perp DEXs, and centralized exchanges. And so I only want to be in that layer, and I actually want to be in any projects at all. In fact, I will be in some, but only when I really believe that this project can build a network. And then we're talking about investing 5 to 10% of my portfolio max into anything that's not part of that thesis. Mm-hmm. So I've gone a long way. Why? Because I used to try and trade the value a lot, and I used to make a lot of money trading that value, as did you. I'll quickly walk you through it. So the first thing is we made a lot of money in ICOs, and then we made a lot of money in meme coins, and we made a lot of money in AI agents. But you know what the truth is? The truth is that by the time I left the casino, I didn't sell the top. And so what landed up happening was I landed up becoming a community member for a lot of these ICO projects, a lot of these meme coin projects, and a lot of these other projects. And so I made a decision to say, I'm going to look through the cycle, even though it's going to be really tough for me, because I'm going to watch my friends making 100x's and 1000x's on meme coins, and I'm going to not play that game at all, which is quite like, it's quite like your friends are posting, hey, I bought Popcat at 0.0001 cents, and now it's at $1 billion market cap, and you could have made $1 billion X returns. And I'm going to actually tap out of that. I'm not playing that game at all anymore. Why? Because I never know how to time the market, and I never know how to get out. That's my problem. And so I've really gone back to a fundamentals way of investing. So with that in mind, let's talk about my layer ones. You're noticing that every time that a new meta comes out, Solana lands up being the winner. Meme coins came out, Solana landed up being the winner. AI agents came out. As per Cookie 3, it actually even beat Base. And the biggest application, which was virtuals, was on Base. Solana still beat Base. And now internet capital markets, which is the new meta, actually landed up launching on Solana. So you've got to say to yourself that Solana is probably the winning L1 in terms of transactions. And every meta that seems to launch on Solana first. But there's always a challenger L1. And my challenger L1 is obviously Sui. Why? Because I think that the team that you've got there is one of the smartest technical teams out there. Between Costas and Evan and Sam, I mean, Sam wrote the Move language. And between all those guys, they're like the smartest people in the world. From a biz dev point of view, they've also got it right. But then they've got a third thing, which is very, very, very cool. And that is the tooling that they're building on the chain, which is things like Deephook, which is things like Walrus. You know, so you've got this chain with very deep liquidity. You've got this chain with permanent storage. It's integrated into the Phantom wallet, where Phantom was a distribution mechanism for Solana, and Sui just managed to tap in. Solana did all the work to get Phantom distributed, and Sui just managed to tap into it by integrating into Phantom. And so for me, those are my two favorite L1s. That's where I put the majority of my L1s.
That's great. And so for me, I think that it's going to be exactly the same. And so you guys covered it very well. I just will add that for Sui, I went to Basecamp. I've been following them for a very long time, and we were considering as a building. I was really fascinated by the Move smart contract language. Was the one thing that I think that you didn't mention, Ran, and I think that's important because it was designed, and people should understand that there was $1 billion of R&D that came from Zuck that went into building, Libra, and then later DM, and now has developed into Sui and Mistin Labs. And there was a lot of exploits, and I learned about how Rust was a superior programming language for smart contracts because it allowed developers to make less mistakes by the way that the coding language is inherently. Move takes that a step further, and Zuckerberg was prepared to launch Libra, or I don't forget what it ended up as, DM or Libra, whatever, before it got shut down. But he was prepared to launch that live essentially and become overnight the biggest bank of the world with how many customers they have, doing on-chain finance, which was insane that it got shut down. But for me, that was a lot of telling signs that that Aptos and Sui were something we should pay attention to. That from that point on, Aptos and Sui was who's going to build more attention, right? Because we know that when we're making bets, attention is important, and who's going to build a better, bigger, more exciting community. And so far, that's been Sui leaps and bounds. And I think they're playing the retail game much better than Aptos is. I think Aptos is doing its own interesting thing on the DeFi, TradFi world, and they'll probably get some good traction over there. And of course, on layer one, I'll include Bitcoin because I'm a just huge advocate for Bitcoin. I didn't put it on here, but okay. Interesting
that none of us said ETH. Not a single one of us, 3 people here. Not a single one of us said ETH.
When you were talking, I was gonna say ETH. What do you guys think? I do feel like actually I'm gonna ask you this question because I use Aave a lot. Right. And I've got my collateral posted as Aave. I've used it as a form of leverage, coming up in the bull market. I started at the bottom and have been borrowing ever since. But I have a good amount, high six digits in stablecoin on Aave in collateral. I did it when it was going down, protect myself. Now I'm thinking about rotating that. On Aave, and for the ETH Aave, you only have wrapped Bitcoin, Link, Ethereum, Aave to choose from as collateral. So I've got stablecoin sitting in there right now. I think that we're going into a parabolic cycle. I want to rotate that into something. If you had to choose either Chainlink or Aave or Ethereum to rotate that capital into, what would you guys do?
What's your holding period? How long are you going to hold that investment for?
Until I believe, that we're in a euphoria parabolic stage to where I should probably get my loan paid off, which I believe is, probably, we were talking about a 4 to 6 month timeline.
I think ETH has been chronically underperforming over the past, the course of this sort of bull market so far. I think many people have kind of been anticipating something happening, and it's starting to kind of wake up right now. If you look at the kind of the data behind the scenes, it's still showing strength. It's like the most decentralized layer one ecosystem out there. I would personally suggest that like ETH is probably the option, bearing in mind that it's having a rally right now, but it's probably one of the most hated rallies because so many people just got out of there, started to look at other places. And I think whenever you have an opportunity where people are just not looking in that direction, which is kind of weird because it's such a a big thing that's been around for so long, that's probably where I would be directing my attention. But it's kind of surprising because I know you're such a Chainlink fan that's not your obvious answer.
I'm going to disagree with you. Go ahead, Kyle.
Go ahead, Ran. I was just going to say Chainlink just integrated with Solana, which is I think very interesting. And they've got a lot of other things. But I don't know, Ran. I'll let you go because I'm asking this question because I'm genuinely curious.
Definitely wouldn't touch ETH. The reason why I wouldn't touch ETH is because I just think that ETH has no reason to exist. And I think that in time, markets can stay disconnected from fundamentals for quite a long period of time. But at the end of the day, eventually markets turn back to fundamentals. ETH doesn't have the fundamentals. ETH doesn't work. I mean, I don't know if you've been working on Solana or Sui lately, and then you have to go back and do a transaction on ETH. It's like going back to dial-up after you've got fiber to the home. Like it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. It's so. Where would I go? I'm a big Chainlink fan in terms of usage. It's a very safe bet, but the price doesn't move. Like it's I'm a big fan. I'm a big holder, but the price just never follows. I would actually go into Aave, and the reason why I would actually buy the Aave token is because if DeFi is really going to move onto chain, then RWA is probably going to be the biggest beneficiary of this. And so now the Stablecoin Act is being passed, has been passed, and so through the Senate, but it's going to get passed. I would actually put my money, if I was in your predicament, I would put a little bit into Chainlink and a little bit into RWA, and I'd ignore ETH and just move on.
Okay, thanks.
Sorry, Pete.
No, that's good. That's good. I really wanted to get you guys' opinions because I'm torn on that one. I think one thing that we probably all agree on is I should probably get it out of stablecoin and into the market. So, okay. Absolutely. So Pete, high risk, high reward, layer one, Quay.
Quay network. I know you're also interested in Quay, right? Proof of work blockchain. I mean, since the original, this is probably for the purist in crypto right now, but since the original white paper, Satoshi's kind of peer-to-peer payment solution, Bitcoin is obviously not appropriate for that. Too slow, too expensive, too difficult, etc. Quay network is probably the only proof of work blockchain out there that really provides a solution for this right now. I know lots of people will be shouting for Casper and other coins like that, but Quay network's a brand new proof of work layer one. Has already exceeded 50,000 transactions per second and is programmed up to 255,000 transactions per second. But what I really like about it is instead of having a stable coin, they have basically two coins within their ecosystem. So they have the Quay token, which is obviously used for mining rewards, and it's used for payments for smart contracts on the layer one. But they also have this other coin, which is called Chi, which is the flat coin. And unlike a stable coin, it's not linked to the dollar, but it's linked to the prices or the energy prices of producing more tokens on the network, so binding on the network. This means that over time, the whole kind of thesis of crypto and this understanding that the dollar is going to go to zero, or this is at least what we're kind of being told, if you're in stable coins and you're not necessarily earning a yield on it, effectively you're losing spending power as much as if you're just holding dollars. So there's kind of like a point on that side of things. I think by having this kind of flat coin built into the ecosystem, it's a hugely kind of unique thing. So it enables the transfer of value, the peer-to-peer payment solution on a proof of work, decentralized, scalable blockchain, and is kind of the closest thing, I think, to having the kind of answer to Satoshi's peer-to-peer payment solution. Now, recently, Casper, I know there's Casper Army is probably almost as aggressive as the XRP Army, so be careful. But Casper has kind of been blown up to this huge market cap coin for a peer-to-peer payment solution that is yet to host smart contracts. I believe they're in the process of doing that right now. There's also potential that the block DAG that it's built on could be congested at certain speeds if there's a certain number of transactions, making it quite expensive, meaning that potentially we end up with another similar kind of situation to what happened on ETH. And it's just yet to be proven. Whereas Quay, tiny market cap compared to the likes of Casper, already hosting smart contracts, already got projects building on it, unique payment peer-to-peer solutions, and the
hash rate's pretty high too, right?
Yeah. So it's and also like having sort of spoken to the team, it's a US token, which obviously helps. Got Gecko joining the party. Got a US token, so it's got that whole kind of thing going for it, right? Bearing in mind that this is a bull run that could potentially have a huge amount of impact from the US as things start to heat up. So yeah.
All right. Ran S. Sonic.
Yeah, I mean, look, for me, I was torn between two, and I know we're going to speed this up, so I'm going to speed this up a little bit. I think Sonic I've tested it. It's a very, 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 very fast blockchain. I think Andre Grenier is a Magic developer, and he's leading a Magic team. And I think that he hasn't launched his new applications and whatever else he's launching. So for me, that's a good one. I had another one here, which I think is probably worth looking at, and that's Kita, which has been on a bit of a tear, which is why I never put it on here. But Kita is KTA, Keeta, Kita. Kita is effectively like an XRP competitor. I hate saying the word XRP competitor, but basically they're a fast, non-contract, non-smart contract blockchain, which is made for very, very, very fast payments. So similar to Stellar and similar to XRP. It's been on a tear. I didn't put it in here because it's been on a tear. So I kind of said, okay, let me just do Sol Sui and Sonic, and that basically takes us to where we need to be, where we need to go.
Okay, that's interesting. I'll check that one out. What did I say? Oh, yeah. The beauty of doing pre-records. Yeah. So you covered.
Sonic.
Let me just do this real quick. No. This. Okay. Yeah. So mine was also Sonic. I did have, I think the one challenge, and a lot of people that I know that I respect in the industry are also very bullish on Sonic. I spoken to Andre at nauseum about what he's doing, his new exchange he's launching, things like that. And he was once a god and legend in the space, and still is for those of us who remember. But like you were saying before, Ran, I mean, it just takes a really creative and excellent business development team to bring a layer one. And so I think it's high risk, high reward. I think that they're going to do a pretty good job at building a community. I'm just not sure if it's as strong as the other ones, and that's why I considered it quite high risk at this point. But I do still like it. And so, yeah. All right, so let's move on. Pete, AI, safe one.
I mean, this kind of fits under the AI kind of deep in kind of crossover. I've gone with Aether.
Yeah.
There's a huge range of AI right now. Okay, 96% of CEOs around the world are trying to implement AI into their businesses. One of the major problems with AI isn't kind of the ability to develop all these amazing new products, but it's having the compute power to be able to drive it. And the demand rate is going up, something like it's expected to do a 14x for the demand of compute power by the year 2030. So the main shortage comes in the H100 GPU, which is an NVIDIA GPU. And they're really difficult to get hold of. They cost about $30,000, so they're incredibly expensive. And there's just not that many of them around. But what Aether does is it takes from a decentralized network of these GPU data centers all around the world, various different countries, which means that if you're in the US right now and you are trying to build your large language model, typically this could usually cost something like ChatGPT to build something like $30 million. By being able to access GPUs off peak around the world and be connected through the Aether cloud, this is enabling them to completely reduce the costs with comparisons versus Amazon Web Services, etc. And this has enabled Aether, which has a market cap somewhere in the region of 400 million, to have an annual revenue of around $113 million. It's quite rare in crypto to find projects that are actually getting used for general tasks outside of just existing within the ecosystem. Like, many people out there are trading Memecoins on Solana, but it's not really like a real world kind of use case that will have any longevity into the future. But what Aether's doing, and has been proven to be doing, is pretty incredible. And I think the stats and figures behind that speak for themselves. They've also developed a $100 million AI agent fund, and they're now partnering up with a huge range of AI agents. When I was in Singapore last summer, speaking to a lot of the different AI companies in and around Singapore, many of them were using compute power from Aether.
Grass.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Grass is it's a real business. The reason why I like it, for people who don't know what it does, Grass is an internet Chrome extension, which basically uses your leftover bandwidth, your redundant bandwidth, to basically train AI models, or to scrape the internet for training AI models. And the reason why you need it is because most sites have site limitations, which means that you can't scrape the internet from one computer. No one knows the exact numbers of their revenue, but they're talking about between $50 and $80 million a year. And if I look at the token's market cap, it's like a relatively well-priced market cap. So for me, Grass is a real business in AI. And so, yeah, I mean, I think that this is one that I'd actually buy. Now, I mean, I'll save you some time, but I didn't actually give you a second AI pick. And the reason why I didn't give you a second AI pick is because, once again, remember, my thesis is that I want to own the base layer, I want to own the trading layer, and I want to own very, very, very few projects, unless the projects are real businesses with cash generations. I've been here for multiple cycles, as have you, and I know that none of these projects actually land up making it. So I know it's the number is like 1 in 10,000 or 1 in 100,000. And so again, I just don't want to play that game. I want to invest in good tokens and just maybe not make as much money as everybody else in the screenshots, but actually at the end of the bull run, be happy with whatever I'm holding.
Okay, guys. So what we're going to do, because Ran, I know that you have to go soon. I'm going to do this for the audience. You're watching. Unfortunately, I'm going to tease you guys here. I'm not going to reveal the rest of mine. I'm going to do that on a show probably tomorrow. And what we'll do is we'll just focus on our guests here because they're the true altcoin stars, getting a lot of good advice from you guys. Let's continue to focus on you guys. So Pete, ARK.
Good one.
ARK. I'll keep this short. Basically, AI agents are taking over. AI agents everywhere, and it's probably one of the most natural fits for crypto projects. Is that AI agents really require blockchain technology to be able to interact, to be able to share payments, to be able to carry out different real world tasks. A bit of a problem at the moment is that there's a lot of AI agents that want to be able to carry out tasks, but they're not able to interact with one another. What ARK basically does is it creates a framework to be able to allow different AI agent services to interact with one another, and also connects the Rhizome agentic app store, which is kind of enabling AI agents to access all sorts of different applications and improve their overall kind of interaction within the Web3 space.
That's a good one.
It's a great one. I actually, on that note, I'll actually add mine, and I'll add Anon, A-N-O-N, which is Daniela Sesta's project. Again, it's an AI infrastructure project, which I think is a good infrastructure project. It's also primarily on Sonic. It's not only on Sonic, but primarily on Sonic. And so, like, for me, that's a combination of two good narratives. It's a combination of the AI narrative and a combination of the Sonic narrative. And so I think, yeah, if you're looking for a second one, let's go with Hey Anon.
Man, I love this. I could just ask you guys questions, and then I don't have to watch your content. I just get the distilled. Not that I don't love watching your content, I do, guys. And make sure that you guys, if you're not subscribed to both their channels, do it because, you're getting all kinds of alpha here. So, Pete, next one we're gonna go over here. It's gonna be your blue chip DeFi RWA NavX.
I mean, again, we've seen huge growth from Sui and the Sui ecosystem, and a lot of the kind of the main points at which we're seeing a lot of capital flowing into the system is through platforms like Navi Protocol. Obviously offers lots of different liquidity payment solutions, other DeFi products. The statistics in terms of the market size and the borrowing rates have just been continuously rising for nearly the last year or so since Navi Protocol's been around. Again, met the team in Dubai, really kind of sharp group of people. And I like that they're kind of where they're moving towards. They're also talking about implementing a DEX and other kind of other solutions to kind of mirror what you see with Jupiter as basically a Jupiter competitor. Jupiter obviously being the Solana equivalent. So yeah, lots of exciting things going on in the Sui ecosystem. Navi Protocol kind of capturing a lot of that liquidity flowing in.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Ran, Curve, and Athena.
So yeah, let me break down the thesis. Stablecoins are probably the biggest opportunity on chain. Up until now, stablecoins have been the biggest use case on chain.
Yep.
There's the stablecoin bill, which is in the process of getting passed, and speculation is that maybe even by Monday or Tuesday, we could have that bill passed. Memorial Day is next week, so they want to get it passed before Memorial Day. When stablecoins actually happen, I think stablecoins is going to be the killer use case of blockchain because it's digital dollars on the blockchain. It's something that the United States is really, really, really going to promote because it guarantees them that the dollar remains the dominant digital currency or the reserve currency of the digital economy. They also want it because the more dollars there are, the more is invested into US treasuries. And as we know right now, there's a massive buying problem for US treasuries. So for me, stablecoins is by far the biggest narrative in DeFi. Now, most people don't know what Curve actually does, but what Curve does is Curve is an exchange for tokens that require swapping with very little slippage. So if you're trying to swap ETH for STETH, or if you're trying to swap Bitcoin for W Bitcoin, or if you're trying to swap, two types of wrap Bitcoin, or if you're trying to swap one stablecoin for another stablecoin, the most efficient place in the whole world to do that is actually to do it on Curve. Now, just think about a world where there's multiple stablecoins. There's USDC, there's USDT, there's a whole lot of other stablecoins. You need to be able to swap seamlessly between one stablecoin and another stablecoin with very little slippage. And the only place that I know of that you can actually do that right now is actually on Curve. So for me, Curve has to win. Because there's just no competitor that can give you the same thing.
Have you tried cow swap?
I have, but you cannot cow swap. I'll explain to you very simply.
Yeah.
When you're looking at an LP token, in order for there to be no slippage, the LP tokens have to be pooled with a very similar token. So you have to have a pool that's USDC, USDT. And so the slippage between those two is very, very small. Or ST, ETH, and ETH. And so the slippage between the pools is very small. Most other exchanges are working on liquidity pools which are like USDC, ETH. Now, there's a big problem with the correlations of the tokens, and therefore you create a situation where there's big slippage, right? Or big gaps. So Curve only pairs with very similar tokens, and it's a specialized exchange when you're trading assets which are similar, so to speak, right?
Which is very interesting as we get into a world where more and more stablecoins will be created, and that will just become more popular.
Correct. And so I think that it's a sitting duck. It's the only one in the world that I know that actually does this on mass scale. And so as soon as we get the Stablecoin Act passed, and then you've got PayPal US dollar, and you've got Coinbase US dollar, and you've got Circle, I don't know what USDs they're going to be. And you're going to need a seamless place to actually change these tokens, and Curve is the logical answer. Athena is effectively a money market fund. So, I mean, it's a stable coin, but you earn rewards. You take your coins and you earn the rewards based on the leverage rates in crypto. And to me, like it's a stable coin, which is a very exciting DeFi concept. And so for me, Curve and Athena are my two best options when it actually comes to DeFi.
Okay, so I think I would consider the first three categories here that we're doing the most critical. I think most of us are in the camp of going back to fundamentals, investing in really high quality things. You guys can give me a pretty good explanation for these the more high risk reward on this category, and then we'll do rapid fire round to round it out for the next three. So Pete, I don't even know what BKN is.
Bricken. So Bricken is I kind of like think of it like a pump fund for tokenized assets, but I'm sure they wouldn't like me to say that. Basically, if you've got a fund, or you're looking to raise funds, or you have loans, equity, or you're in any kind of business, maybe that's in grain, maybe you're trying to raise money for real estate purchases. Effectively, what Bricken does is it allows companies to go and build a tokenized system that allows them to raise capital. They've already partnered up with the European Union and are already available in something like 16 countries. It's a European team that's managed to tokenize a variety of different things. Now, why do I think this is such a cool thing? It's opening up a whole host of different investment opportunities that were previously not available to ordinary people. They were only ever available to rich people who wanted to go and build properties, people who wanted to go and invest in, stocks, bonds, etc. Now, by having these kind of smaller companies, it's kind of like giving the property developer in your town the ability to float like an IPO. So they can raise capital to be able to go and develop things, and it kind of levels the playing field rather than just putting all the money in the pockets of the big corporates all the time. So this is what's, I think, kind of shows a really cool example of what real world assets is achieving. And I think kind of the adoption that's going on. Also, they've $300 million in $300 million in tokenized assets have been put through the Bricken ecosystem so far, and that's been growing significantly as I've been paying attention to it over the last few months.
That's good. I'm gonna look into that one. It's right up my alley of crowdfunding. Okay, Hyperliquid.
I mean, need I say more? I think that, again, if your thesis is that people are here to create and trade digital value, we finally have a decentralized exchange that feels and looks like a centralized exchange. It's fast. It's very, 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 very cheap. It's getting the network. It's got the network effects. All the big trades, all the big traders are trading on it. I think, to me, this is one of the best tokens in the season. It's become my third or fourth biggest holding in my portfolio.
Can you quickly just explain if you think it's a good buy still? Because I sure as hell didn't notice it until it was at the top 100. And even then I was scared to pull the trigger. I'm just hearing phenomenal things, but I'm curious, today, is it still a good buy?
Depends what your holding your time horizon is, right? And also whether you're investing fresh cash or switching from another protocol. So I'm fully invested. So for me, there's no new cash to be investing. So I'm switching from one protocol to another protocol. If you're switching from one protocol to another protocol, it makes no difference. If you're selling SOL to buy hype, or if you're selling SUI to buy hype, it doesn't matter, because you're not going in from fresh cash. You're not actually looking to buy the dip, because when Solana dips, so will hype dip, right? So it depends whether you're switching or whether you're investing new money. If you're investing new money, I don't know. I mean, it's quite a hyped up hype token. If you're, I mean, the market cap is $30 billion. It's a layer 1 blockchain with a DEX, with a perpetuals exchange. Coinbase has a market cap of $60 billion. Solana has a market cap of $80 billion. ETH has a market cap of 300 billion, or whatever the number is. I mean, you just got to decide how you're going to price this thing. I do think that it's one of the safest risk to reward bets in the cycle. And I think it's one of the most exciting things that I've seen, because all the blockchains need a killer application. Hyperliquid has the killer application, which is this crazy fast perpetuals DEX, which is, I mean, I don't know if you've ever traded on it, but the experience of trading on Hyperliquid is the same as trading on a SEX. And it's, I mean, that's for me, it's the holy grail of crypto. And so it's one of my biggest bags. I think it's my 3rd or 4th biggest bag at the moment.
Damn. Well done. Okay. So let's go Pete Pengu.
Well, we're kind of into the meme coin niche, right? I've not been a massive, I know you guys are quite big on memes. I'm not massively into memes, but if I was to look across the kind of the meme coin ecosystems, I think Pengu is doing something a little bit on the unique end of things. Real world presence outside of the blockchain, trying to bring people into the blockchain. I think that's quite a cool thing, and possibly the only kind of fun type thing that I've seen anyone do around this area. We saw before, like Impossibles, Imaginary Ones, which was a big NFT project in the past. They had like partnerships with Hugo Boss and stuff, pretty big in Singapore, Korea. But I do kind of like where Pudgy Penguins is going, trying to onboard ordinary people into the ecosystem. So,
Ran PopCap.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't really care about meme coins. I don't have any opinions about meme coins whatsoever. I put PopCat in there because I'm holding a little bag, and it's the only one that I'm actually watching. Again, I don't want to play this game because I know you're holding hot air, and I think that there's so many great investment opportunities. You saw what happened to PopCat and Pengu from top to bottom, 95% or something. Like, I don't want to play that game anymore. You'll see if you unhighlight my next pick, like if you want to play meme coins, play Radium, because that's where all the meme coins are going to be traded ever.
Yeah.
And so like just buy the meme coin infrastructure. Regardless of whether it's meme coins, AI agents, internet capital markets, info. What is it? InfoFi is a new narrative I heard today. It's all going to be traded on Radium, and so just buy the DEX if you want to get exposure to meme coins. Buy the DEX. Yes, you won't make 100x, but you also won't lose 95% of your money at the end of the cycle. And take it from someone like me and Carl and maybe Pete. I don't know Pete's trading history, but we know what it's like to make 1,000x and then to walk away with nothing in that 1,000x investment. And so like I just don't want to play that game anymore. I think you can just make more money by not playing that game.
I agree. Trump.
Yeah.
I think it's about interesting.
I mean, again, like I'm not massive. It's Ran's right. Like right now, the opportunity in like utility coins is just too good to have to go and chase stuff that's like, it's too difficult to understand really what makes a really good meme coin versus another, in my opinion. Trump is a bit of a no-brainer in that I think if this bull run does go crazy, which I'm kind of anticipating it doing, huge amounts of liquidity, you know, he just can't help himself. You know that there's going to be a tweet go out there, something happen at some point. People aren't going to be able to help themselves, and everybody's going to just ape in. The chart looks fantastic right now. There's
Trump dinner's tonight, right?
Ascending triangle, and it's going to go crazy.
The Trump coin dinner tonight. I mean, I thought it was done, right? I thought it was those 2 tweets that one day, and you never hear from Trump meme coin again. But tonight's the dinner. Very interesting. I played that all the way up. Not now. Okay, I'm gonna undo both of these. Ran, Super, Ronin, and Guns. Nice picks.
Yeah, so gaming hasn't had a run yet this cycle. I'm almost sure that gaming will have a run this cycle. When you play gaming in the cycle, you got to pick. Like I've picked very strategically there. Mm-hmm. I've picked one hype token. I think the biggest hype token on the market is probably Super. You just cannot compete with the hype machine that Elio and Alex Becker have created around Super. I don't know if fundamentally it's the strongest token, but then who cares? Ultimately, this market is driven a lot by by sentiment. And so I just don't want to fade Alex and Elio. And so for me, like super is definitely there. My super equivalent of a project that has really good fundamentals is Ronin. So why? Because Ronin is the Axie Infinity developers. They built their own chain. There's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of games and hundreds of users on those games. And these guys are building and releasing like beasts. And so Ronin is my other gaming pick. My third one is Gunzilla. Now, there's a good reason why I've taken Gunzilla. Probably the best Web3 game, and actually not a Web3 game. It's probably a great game, but good on Web3 also. Yes. These guys are not crypto native people. They're gaming native people. They're not crypto native people. They made a couple of mistakes, but they've launched a token with a very, very, very low circulating supply. Now, these are very smart people with lots of money. When a token is launched with a 6 or 7 or 8% circulating supply, I don't know what the exact number is. It's pretty blatant to understand that all they're waiting for is for the market conditions to be good, and then they're going to give this thing a whack of a pump. And like it's pretty obvious that that's going to happen. And so I just want to be there when we get on for the ride. So I think they had a disappointing launch, but I don't think that detracts from how good the game is relative to any other game in crypto. And there's not a single other game in this ecosystem that can compete with the off the grid. So I think that's why I've chosen those three.
I think one thing I'll add real quick is that that there's no more unlocks at all. So no more inflation for the next 10 months. And so 9-10 months. So if we believe in 4-year cycles, and I think we have nothing else to go into, I think that it probably might extend. But let's just say that we're probably going to have, if we have alt season, it gets really crazy around November, December, which is before my investments, which I made early in unlocks. So I've actually been buying the secondary market, even though I have it was my largest private primary investment ever, but currently sitting at a $33 million market cap. And right now we don't need to pay attention to FDV because nothing's unlocking until after this cycle, if we believe in 4-year cycles, which means that the only thing we need to care about for now, if you're playing this as a trade, is this $33 million market cap traded on Binance, biggest gaming influencers in the world. And I think I can say it's sitting at a $33 million market cap right now. If you believe that crypto gaming is going to come back, if you believe in altcoin super cycle, this thing to me is the only thing that I can think of that is the most clear risk to reward on the market. It's just crazy undervalued for right now. Be careful when these tokens start unlocking because it will run like crazy most likely, and investors will take profits like crazy.
I don't want to be there when the tokens start unlocking, but until then, I want to be all in.
Next, Pete, MLC and MPIT.
MLC is my lovely coin.
Pete, I never realized you're such a fucking DJ, bro.
I mean, I'm not massively into the gaming ecosystem, but I kind of just, I think I do what you do, but maybe I'm looking at where the users are. What is the data? What are people actually doing? I don't necessarily think, this is a great game or whatever. I just think who's going to use the game. Now, I've been living in parts of Asia for the last few years, in Bali and Thailand, and it's pretty evident if you paid attention to all the guys driving the Uber bikes or the Grab bikes, and you're looking around town, and every single person is sat on their phone playing some form of a little video game. Now, obviously, like computer games and PlayStation games and stuff, they're great, but they're not going to be attracting the billion users. This is why I think smaller cap, kind of the simple, easy to pick up, easy to play games are going to be the most successful. And like we saw that a little bit with Hamster Combat last time. Obviously, that kind of like came up and then it disappeared. But if we go back to like some of the simplest games that there's been in the last few years that have been the most successful, we've seen Candy Crush, right? Web 2 game, $1 billion of revenue per year, pretty much over the last 10 years, 11 years. My Lovely Planet is the same builders who built Candy Crush. This is a Web3 Candy Crush game with kind of add-ons, kind of like an upgraded version. By playing the game, you earn tokens that people don't even realize are linked to the blockchain. You can then pay to upgrade your game like you can do on Candy Crush in the MLC token. And literally in the next few days, they're going to be linking the token to the game. They're already available on the App Store, on Google Play Store. They've got 25,000 users. And what they do that's quite cool and quite unique is that they plant trees. So So after you achieve a certain level in the game, you plant your tree in the game. They'll plant one in real life, which is kind of like maybe doesn't sound that important, but it enables them to have this kind of environmental piece that gets people very excited, and it allows them to accrue a customer at something like 12 cents per customer. But Candy Crush is something like $1.09 per customer. So this is a pretty incredible ability to onboard customers. At the moment, they're doing a bit of a fundraise to bring people in. But I think it was around $12 million market cap when I last looked at it. But it's been going up hard in the last few days because they're about to announce a big partnership with maybe Amazon, Google, or Apple, and possibly today. Maybe it's already happened. But I think it's a bit of a no-brainer. Potential for some good returns, obviously. Yeah. Medicaid, English projects, obviously, representing. But they are on base chain, and they were one of only 6 projects that were selected to have a app chain created by the base ecosystem. Now, what Medicaid is basically a gaming incubator where you can kind of go and create your game. They provide software development tools, provide AI tools. They have AI influencers who are out there gaming on the web. On the web sounds so such an old man there, but they're out there basically creating marketing for these different projects. And what I like about this is that they are an incubator for kind of simple games. So instead of betting on one game, like I'm doing with My Lovely Planet, this is a slightly lower risk exposure to the whole ecosystem. And also partnership with Coinbase on the partnership with Base on Base Chain. You can kind of anticipate that there's going to be some form of a Coinbase launch down the line somewhere in there. One of the only gaming projects selected to be partnered with Base. I think there's a huge amount of revenue surging into Base all the time. I think it's looking pretty good. So Medicaid and My Lovely Planet.
That's both new to me. Thank you, Pete. I'll look into both of them. Ran, Wildcard, Aerodrome.
Yeah, I think. Look, I'm going to give you 2 wild cards. Actually, I'll give you my wild card is Base. So I'm not a big fan of Ethereum, but I think if Ethereum does work, then Base works. And I think that Coinbase will do anything that they can to make Base work. And I also think that even if Ethereum doesn't work, I think that Base will ultimately just remain a chain. Mm-hmm. And so if that's the thesis, like I don't think that Coinbase makes so much money out of sequencing fees on the Base chain that I don't think they're ever going to give that up, right? And so I think that if you look at Binance has BSC chain. If you look at all the exchanges that basically started their own chains, and if I look at Coinbase, for me, Coinbase is going to be the winning exchange globally because I just think from a regulatory point of view, they're so far ahead of everybody else. From a user base point of view, they're so far ahead of everybody else. To me, they're the ultimate winner. It's actually one of my biggest crypto holdings that's not held in crypto is between MicroStrategy and Coinbase. Yeah. So my wild cards here, actually, I would say like Aerodrome is because that's the biggest DEX on that chain. But then I would actually say like hold Coinbase in your portfolio. That's my second one. My second one is like just hold Coinbase. Because again, regardless of which tokens succeed, don't succeed, whether it's an L1 or an L2 or whether it's ETH or whether it's Solana, Coinbase, people trade everything on Coinbase. Coinbase has its own chain. Coinbase is launching derivatives. Coinbase is the most regulated crypto platform in the world today. I mean, I think it's negligent not to own Coinbase.
They just open futures and perpetuals, right? So I mean, like you're talking about making money, and they've been out of that game the entire time. Just open that market up. They're going global. They're the largest custodian for everybody in the world.
I feel really bad. I feel really bad because I feel like my calls have been much more conservative than Pete's. But I'm actually going to stick to my guns here because not to say that Pete's wrong or that I'm right. I've played that risky game. And again, my problem with that risky game is that if you don't exit on time, then effectively you'll end up giving back all your value. And that's the game that I don't want to play anymore.
Pete?
No offense, Pete. I'm just, I feel a bit bad today that you're so degen.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, we're entering into a time in the market that degen time pays off. But you're right. If you don't exit, like it's a difficult one.
Yeah, but in all fairness, though, I do think that Ran, I do think that even if we have traditional types of corrections, even our more safe plays still go down 90%. If we don't take profits.
But for sure they're going to recover. Like Radium's going to come back, and Solana's coming back, and Curve's coming. Curve's been here for 3 cycles. It's definitely coming back.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. No offense, people. I don't know what's going to happen with MCADE. You know what I mean? Like I don't know if it's going to come back next cycle. I don't know. I don't know the project, so I'm not saying it will or it won't. I'm just saying I don't know the project.
Fair enough.
So this is really interesting here, Pete, and I haven't really thought about it. You've got Worldcoin here, and I wrote it off at first because of the ridiculous float and this incredibly high super FDV. But I'm curious to hear your thoughts because I haven't looked into it.
I mean, it dumped pretty hard, right? So it had a huge valuation at launch, and then it sold off pretty hard. Why Worldcoin? Well, Worldcoin is co-founded by Sam Altman, who is the co-founder of OpenAI, which is he's behind ChatGPT, right? He is rumored right now to be in talks about creating a new social network to rival Twitter with integrated ChatGPT functionality. Now, what that means, what that looks like, I obviously have no idea. But there's the move I think that everyone's going towards right now is to create the WeChat for the rest of the world. WeChat is the all-in-one app in China, has the payment solutions. You can, pay your bills. You can do all these different things on it, chat, social media, everything together. I think that there is an opening for Twitter potentially to do it, Worldcoin, and all of these, whichever one it is that comes out on top, will need a payment solution, which is where the Worldcoin comes in. So that's one element of it that's very bullish for me.
Yeah, that's well said. What is ATR?
R-Trade. Can I just do a little bit more on Worldcoin? Because R-Trade.
Yeah, please go for it. I thought you were done. Yeah, go for it.
So Worldcoin, as well as we see an increase in AI technology. I mean, if you're spending much time on YouTube these days, you probably realize that none of the short videos of Joe Rogan are actually Joe Rogan. There's a huge problem that's brewing, and that is
really
being able to differentiate between AI and
we're in a big problem. As influencers, we're in a serious problem. I've seen better AI videos of me than me in real life. And
really?
I 100% agree with you. I didn't buy the Worldcoin thesis, but now that I've seen what AI can do, you really need proof of humanness. There's just no other way to do it. Like you need proof of humanness.
And they've just done major partnerships with Visa, Tinder, which is one that you might not have considered, that obviously is important to have real humans. Now, what they had was basically these orb things where you had to go and have your retina scanned in different parts of the world. I did it in Hong Kong. Up until recently, there were not that many around, but now they have like flagship stores in the middle of San Francisco. They have these mini ones that you can now carry around in a backpack, and now they're onboarding huge amounts of users. So they're already at like 12.5 million unique users. And every single day, this number is just creeping up. All of these people then have access to a Worldcoin wallet with gas-free transactions on their Worldcoins. I kind of feel like this is a wildcard play of something that the entire world could be getting onboarded into. And this is like a chance to get into it at $1 billion. And it's co-founded by one of the most influential men on the planet right now. It just seems like a really easy kind of wildcard.
What's ATR?
R-Trade. R-Trade is a real-world asset platform. It's basically allowing you to stake tokens and go and enter into raffles to buy valuable items. One of the major things I think is worth considering is once you move towards the end of this bull market, because of what's happening with the dollar, because of what's happening with debt refinancing, if you're holding money in fiat currency, you're getting about 15% poorer each year, because your $100 next year, you can only buy $85 worth of stuff with it. So ordinary people who probably never thought about this before are going to have to start going out there and thinking about how to protect their capital. Maybe that's in Bitcoin, maybe it's in other things out there that are maybe slightly less volatile, whatever it is. What R-Trade does is allows you to enter into raffles where you can purchase gold bars, you can purchase nice watches, you can purchase all sorts of different artwork and different items by staking the R-Trade token and enter into these raffles. You get around 40% discount. So in terms of the model itself, they're obviously making a loss on the items, but by the staking and by the kind of revenue generation through the different transactions, etc., they're building kind of value of the token. And particularly as we move towards the end of the bull market, where people suddenly start to go and buy themselves, their nice watches and start to look to cash out, I think this could be kind of like a good play where people are directed towards it as the bull market's finishing. So just perhaps we see lots of people staking tokens around that time.
Guys, thank you. Ran, sorry I kept you longer than you need to be here. Pete, thank you so much for coming on. You guys are awesome. I'm going to give a shout out too, obviously, to people go follow you guys. We'll leave the socials down below. Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.
All right, guys, if you got some serious alpha today, and I know I did, from Ran and Pete, and if you're not following them on socials, go ahead and do that. I've included the links in the description below. And if you're wondering where my list of calls is, don't worry, I held back on purpose. But very soon, I'll be dropping a full breakdown of my plays across these narratives and more. And with 1 or 2 blue chips, and of course, for you degens out there, the higher risk, higher reward plays as well. No fluff, no noise, just the tokens that I'm watching, how I'm thinking about the capital rotation, and if they are good entry points and where I see the biggest upside right now. So consider today the appetizer. Next, we have the main course. So if you are serious about catching this altcoin wave before it really takes off, and I believe that it will, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification so you don't miss these time-sensitive videos, and drop your picks in the comments below. What did I miss today? What should I talk about on my show? What am I not looking at that maybe I should be? And guys, I'll see you on the next show for the full playbook. Stay sharp, stack your Satoshis, be bold, and together, let's catch the next parabolic move.